The Bucks County commissioner who said this has now issued an apology.
Precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And there is nothing more important than counting votes.
That is Diane Ellis-Marseglia, who has now given an apology, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Bucks County Commissioner Diane Ellis-Marseglia, who said that you could, the Supreme Court's precedent and rules, they don't need to be necessarily followed. In fact, her exact words were, if she violates a law, it's because she wants a court to pay attention to it. So her violating the law just is okay. It's because her ultimate goal is to allow the county commissioners to pay attention to her violating the law. Well, now she has sort of backtracked a little bit. She has went before the Bucks County people and in a commissioner's meeting, and then she has said this. And I'm going to show you what she said, and then I want you to listen to what Scott Pressler says. Now, Scott Pressler, many of you may not know who he is, but he's very, very influential in the area of Pennsylvania. In fact, he's the founder of the Early Vote Action. He founded that in 2023, which the purpose is to register conservatives to vote and encourage election day, early absentee voting, and mail-in voting so that the votes are in. They're banked. And so listen to this conversation here between what she said and then what Scott Pressler said. And then after this, we'll get to her apology.
Precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And there is nothing more important than counting votes.
And now, here before us, it's on the world stage that we have a commissioner, quote by Diane Marseglia, precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country. People violate laws any time they want. And if I, meaning Diane Marseglia, violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And I have a message. Peacefully, we are coming for your seat in 2027. If you don't resign today,
Have at it.
I am coming for your seat peacefully. And Harvey, Commissioner Harvey, this goes for you too. You are complicit.
So did you hear Scott Pressler? He said they are coming for her seat if she did not resign on that day. And she said, hey, boldly, bring it. Bring it. I'm not going to resign. You bring it. And so it's interesting to see how at that point she was pretty troubled that somebody would challenge her like that. And she just put it right back at him and told him to bring it, even though she had said, if I violate the law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. She says because people are violating the laws. They're doing it all the time. One more time is not going to affect or impact anything. So Scott Pressler, it's interesting. He says, we're coming for your seat. Now, this next clip is a little bit lengthy, maybe 5 minutes, but I want you to listen to her apology. This is her coming back before the Berks County constituents, and she's making her apology. And so I want you to determine whether you think she is being genuine or whether she's saying this simply because she said the quiet part out loud. Remember, this is the people. This is the one who was given an order by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania that said you do not count undated or wrongly dated or some type of dated ballots. She had the clear Supreme Court order there. November the 1st, they made it. They said, do not count the ones that are that do not have a date on them. But she was determined she was. So they were going to count them again, and the Supreme Court had to come back again and say, do not do this. We voting 4-3. We're not going to count those votes. And so now she comes back after she's felt the pressure from the community. And even, she talks about the clip being spread abroad. Well, rightly so it should when you've got someone who openly is going to violate the law. So listen to what she says in her apology. Here she is.
I do want to just ask for my turn for a minute, if you would just bear with me, and I will speak as quickly as I can so we can move on. So I wanted to start by apologizing for the upset and the confusion that I have caused the citizens of Bucks County and the hard-working employees of this county and my family and those who share my last name.
Okay, the only confusion that I could think that was created was the confusion that was caused by you, because you openly violated the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, or were going to. You were going to violate the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. You caused the confusion. That's the confusion that took place. The law said this. You said, hey, listen, the law's violated all the time. So you're the one that created the confusion, and you're rightly so. You should apologize. In fact, you should take it a step further, and I believe as the people will say who are sitting in front of you, you need to resign.
Anyone who knows me knows that I care a lot about elections, and I have been involved in them all my life, virtually.
Yeah, see, and this is the thing. I mean, I care about elections too. My problem, the difference between me and you is I want a fair election. You want to violate the law to get the results that you think you deserve or want. This is the problem.
And like all of you and all Americans, I want this election and every election to be fair, to be honest, to be just, and one we can have confidence in.
I mean, I'm just blown away by her comments. The justices had already spoken. To have a just and fair election would have been to abide by the law, to do what they had told you to do, but you were going to refuse to do that, and you said that out loud.
I'm not going to hold things up when you talk. If you could just put them down for a minute, I'll be through this quickly. Last Thursday, when I spoke at the meeting that you're all here about, the passion in my heart got the best of me, and I apologize again for that.
No, it wasn't the passion in your heart. It was the corruption in your heart. It was your willingness to violate the law to get the results, to count ballots that they said could not legally be counted. That's what was in your heart.
That was a hearing, and we were talking about provisional ballots. We were specifically talking about the fact that there were certain provisional ballots where a judge of elections did not sign and did not make sure that the voter signed on the outside envelope.
Listen, I don't think anyone got that from that meeting. I don't think anyone got that from that meeting.
To me, it was frustrating and unconscionable that we would have to take away somebody's vote, not because they made a mistake, but because of an employee, one of our members of one of the judges of elections didn't know what to do or forgot or made a mistake.
What is frustrating and unconscionable is that you were willing to allow another citizen in Pennsylvania, Bucks County, who followed the law and diligently did what they were supposed to do. You're saying you would allow their vote to be canceled because of a ballot that did not meet the requirements. And let me say this too, while I'm on this area. You can say these things, but from 2020, people have a lot of questions about election integrity. And here you are wanting to slip votes in. I mean, it's what it sounds like to me. Slip ballots in because you want to, even though they do not meet the legal criteria that was set by the legislatures and the Supreme Court. This is absolutely ridiculous to hear her explain what she's saying as though we are ignorant.
That issue that I spoke on has now gone viral from my comments. It was genuinely not the best words. I would do it all.
I mean, she's smiling when she says that. Did you see her facial expressions? It wasn't the best. I should have said it a little more carefully, a lot more carefully. I shouldn't have said anything. But she did, and they went viral, and they rightly should have, because this is the secrecy of election integrity. This is a group that will will manipulate votes. In fact, I was reading an article that said the Philadelphia Board of Elections voted 2-1 to count ballots with missing or incorrect data. This is just not something that's dealing with her. This is a systemic problem, apparently, in that location, in that area. And it was like, what's his name? Scott Pressler said, if it hadn't been for the RNC or somebody suing them, they might have gotten this through. So anyway, listen to what she says.
Again, I feel terrible about it. I should have been more clear. Please, I will be more clear in the future.
The people, I don't know if you can hear that, but the people out there in the constituency, they're out there telling her to resign, and that's why she's sitting there. She knows she has crossed a line.
Thank you. I will be done. I mean, it is an apology, so bear with me. That's not like I'm not saying anything against any of you. I don't think I'm alone in the frustrations I had that day. Many counties get confused and confounded by the Supreme Court rules because they have changed at different times. I looked forward to the court taking a stand on this, and quite frankly, that was about provisional ballots, and that court hearing hasn't even been held yet. It's today. And that has to do with the 207 provisional ballots that the judge of elections did not quite monitor correctly. What the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did on Monday was rule, once again, and one time they were another way, that undated mail-in ballots should not be counted. There were 407 of them in the United States Senate race. That clarity came because we rely on the court, and we will not count them, and we have not counted them. My comments were not about those ballots. My comments were about the provisional ballots. And even as I say this, I know it's confusing, and it's no surprise to me that these issues have gotten conflated. It was my poor choice of words. They did get clipped. They were out of context, and they have been shown over. They have been shown over and over.
See, the people there don't believe her. They're booing her. She even shushes them. I mean, she's shushing a grown people out there as though I'm speaking. I'm the authority. This is absolute. She needs to resign immediately.
Over and over again on social media, national media, and I have literally been contacted by hundreds of people. And I'm being honest with you, all of them involved horrible, horrible expletives. Many involved threats, not just on my life, but on the people who work in this county. The things that were said to members of my family and people who don't even know me but share my last name are horrendous.
Well, let me encourage you. If threats have been made on your life, I would forward them to the authorities if that's the case. I would assume you have done that. Now, I would assume that's what you have done.
We don't have to treat each other like that. It's heartbreaking. Some of the things that people invoked about my daughter who died were not fair.
And I agree with that. You should never bring up someone who is deceased, someone who has passed away. If that actually happened, I don't know if I trust this lady as far as I could actually throw her based on what she said. I mean, she's telling them the truth now. I mean, are you kidding me? You're going to defy the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and then you try to explain it? No, I don't buy that.
We are not going to do that to you, so I just want to tell you, I have certainly heard from everyone. I apologize profusely to the employees of this county and to the people who were called in my name because all of that rage was directed at me. But I remind you all that we all say things that are out of turn. We all make mistakes. I made a mistake, and because I am an elected official,
ma'am, you just didn't make a mistake. You were insinuating that y'all were going to break the law. It's not a mistake. You outright was going to defy this Pennsylvania Supreme Court. I mean, that's not a mistake. That was an intentional act on your part. And now you're admitting to what you had said. You made a mistake. You're admitting now that what you had said to try to explain it away wasn't really what your intentions were. If that was really what your intentions were, talking about that group of ballots, then you should have just, that's what I would have pointed to. But and the people know that you are going to count undated or incorrectly dated ballots from every pile that you could, because you didn't want one ballot to go to be wasted or not to get to vote, as you say. But what you've got to understand is you are looking at disenfranchising an individual in that county or in that state, in that county, I guess. You're looking to disenfranchise somebody else because that ballot, when cast illegally, would have canceled out their ballot. You want to talk about fairness? You want to talk about justice? Come on.
I am held to a far higher standard than everybody else. So to the citizens I serve, I apologize, and I will continue to work hard for you and endeavor to not make such a mistake again. I will also clarify one more thing. When I inartfully spoke and used the word precedent when I was talking about provisional ballots, I was referring to the United States Supreme Court and the precedent that has been lost on many issues, including Roe versus Wade. If you would just bear with me for...
If you watched her facial expressions and you believe that she's actually being honest and truthful to those people, I don't believe it. I don't buy it for a minute. She's turned around and smiling at people. She's laughing at the people next to her like it's no big deal. But watch this.
One more minute. Unfortunately, I took my frustration out on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, many of whom are friends of mine and who I respect and whose decisions are complicated and difficult and important. We are all going to learn lessons from this new media landscape, and most of all, I am. I am a small fish in this big pond. I do not have a megaphone on Twitter or CNN, or I am not a Secretary of State. I don't run a presidential campaign. This is the only opportunity I have had to set the record straight. Thank you for listening to me. Today is the only chance I have to stop this snowball.
Yeah, but you're the one that brought this upon you. You're a county commissioner. You have the ability, obviously, to allow people to count votes that should not be counted. If you get what you deserve, number one, you should either resign or be voted out. And if I were the RNC, you should face prosecution for what you said and what you were attempting to do. You knew very well what you were going to do. And if it hadn't have been for the RNC, Scott, and them suing, you very well may have gotten those votes in and disenfranchised someone who voted legally, voted the right way, and met all the requirements. So anyway, that's Bucks County. We'll see what happens to Diane Ellis. What is her last name? Marseglia. And we'll see how she proceeds. Thank you for listening. And until next time.